everyone. I didn't know I'll have to go first, and I'm even more nervous. I will read an excerpt from this short story. Water to me in this particular story means a sort of a place where life begins. As we know, we need water to really create life, right, on this earth. So a dry seed will not open without a drop of water. And we all are created, right? The beginning of our life begins in a pure, crystal clear, private ocean that is also water, right? So, and in this particular story, Tahir, a character from Egypt, who is the main character in my novel, To Kill the Other also, he discovers at the age of 7 that he can create life, that he is responsible for creating his own life. And it happens at night when he goes to a special room of meetings where he discovers what life really is all about and how he can not only participate, but he can create it. So let's see what happened in the special room of meetings. So I will just read an excerpt since I have, I believe, 5 minutes to do this. So I'll start. The room was in the shape of a cylinder. Its obsidian floor was opaque and glistening. The ceiling was a canopy of brilliant stars. The high walls were covered with engravings and divided into 3 sections, equally tall and parallel to the floor. The lowest section was filled with the life of the ocean. Deep, dark bottom waters traveled up the several lines of light, where dozens of rays floated under the shimmering surface. Their flat bodies culminating in a long, sharp arrow twinkled with willow-green flash. Schools of dolphins, cutting the air with long arches, swam towards the crimson horizon. In the distance, blue whales spurted water into the sky, dispersing flocks of noisy seagulls, the ones that just a moment ago were diving in search of silver prey. Tahir released his father's hand and walked around the room in awe. He studied every detail with amazement until he noticed the sharks. They didn't belong with rays or dolphins or the majestic whales. They didn't belong to the light under the surface. They belonged only to themselves. The sharks circled the waters restlessly while he waited, unable to take his eyes off them. They were silent, with multiple rows of white hooked teeth in their jaws and small black eyes, focused and determined in every movement. Tahir understood that the sharks were on a hunt. Soon the sharks streaked through the dark waters, ferociously striking, fast and nimble turns, snapping jaws. The water boiled, frothing with blood and pieces of white flesh as the heads of the prey fell to the bottom in a slow, fluid motion. Scavengers flashed into the image, rushing for the remains. And then it all disappeared in impenetrable darkness. Tahir looked at his father in relief, but only for a moment, because the sharks came back. He would always remember his heart sinking when he saw them return, as if he knew what was supposed to happen. All of it was surreal, while being the most vivid experience of his life. The sharks' dark and slender bodies emerged from the darkness unexpectedly, and it with equal surprise headed towards the middle of the room. Tahir could not take his eyes off them, not for a second. As he watched them approach his face, he realized that he had gone from a spectator to a participant. He had become the target of their hunger. The shark circled his body many times, narrowing the distance until he was separated from his father. His heart pounded as he fell to his knees, with the only words he could remember. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Tahir's voice was soft and quiet. The sharks revealed rows of teeth and came so close he could touch them. He smelled their nauseating breath, and in the very moment when all hope disappeared, he discovered his biggest strength. What happened? He turned his eyes away from the sharks, and they froze in mid-air. Everything around him became still, and he understood immediately. The pictures moved only when he looked at them. He breathed life into them, and they were alive only as long as his eyes were upon them. The only life they had was the one he could give them. Tahir felt strength come up from the floor through his legs and into his chest. His feet became light. His face turned up to the starry ceiling. He lifted both arms with open hands. I am, he screamed at the top of his lungs. Again, I am, in amazement, surprised by the words he had spoken. Near the top of the walls, flocks of birds awakened by Tahir raced towards the sky. Lone eagles and hawks from the forests and mountains, black clouds of ravens and crows on snowy plains, and thousands of sharp swallow and crimson cardinals. Tahir raised his arms gracefully, conducting the symphony of wings. Look, look, he called to his father. Look how high! Rainbows of enormous macaws drifted in the air like open umbrellas. Swoosh, swoosh, their wings cut the moist, hot air. Flocks of geese leapt towards the distant horizon, and single gray herons floated down the shimmering streams without touching the water. In the distance, slow flamingos lowered their heads above shallow waters, cobalt blades of darkening sky on the ground. Gigantic pictures on the walls brought to life by Tahir's gaze filled the room surrounding him and his father. The boy looked to the middle section of the wall, bringing to life herds of wild horses that charged forward in clouds of dust. He led them with his hands, calling them and making them run away, manes flowing in the wind. He made giraffes cast long shadows when they squinted their eyes. He brought their heads up, reaching for the highest branches of the smooth-trunked trees. He reached for the black mounds of hippopotamus in the muddy waters, soft white bears buried in the snowdrifts, and watchful penguins balancing precious eggs on their feet. He reached for gigantic deer antlers clashing with a low sound carried above the marshes, and herds of oxen powerful in stillness. I'll stop here because I know that we have other people coming. Thank you very much.